Fiona here, and today I'm sitting here with psychic medium Susie Gigg.
Hi.
Hi. Now, being a psychic medium, I know that your church, I know that
It's going to be one of them days.
your path has been very different to other psychic mediums because a lot of people are born with the ability.
Yeah.
And you had it come, later in your life. So how did this happen?
Well, I think for me, when I was younger, I certainly had spiritual experiences, but I wasn't aware of it.
Right.
And I very much say to people that, I remember being really young, maybe about 4 or 5, and I would have things flying around a bedroom. Now,
Really?
Yeah, and I used to call them witches because, like, for a child of that young, that's how you perceive it.
Yeah.
And I used to share a room with my sister, and she would get really annoyed because I'd be playing up and saying they're in here, they're in here, and eventually I would go and get my mum's bed next door because they wouldn't come in there, and I wouldn't say that, for me, I didn't grow up thinking, oh, I saw spirit or things like that happened. It was just something that was very real to me, very normal, I suppose. Didn't understand why other people didn't see that. But for me, as I grew older, that sort of just disappeared, didn't happen again. And even now I could say, was that a child's imagination? I don't know, but it wasn't something that I kind of dwelled on or thought, oh, that happened to me. It was just over a period of probably about 2 years when I just knew that I couldn't sleep in a room because everything's in there. And like I said, for me, it was something that I rationalised growing up, thinking that was because I was a child. That's because I had a very vivid imagination and just didn't think any more of it. And then from there, from about 5 years old, I suppose that stopped and didn't really give it a second thought at all. Not really, no. One thing that I did have growing up, and I remember, is having this fear of death, massive fear of death. And it wasn't about dying myself, it was about losing people that I loved, and and it came from the gut, that emotion, that fear. And for me, I think, looking back retrospectively, it was more a seeking of knowledge or a pull for knowledge. It's and I think that's why I got into, or one of the reasons that I wanted to explore this, I suppose to call it a phenomenon, I don't know what you want to call it, more, I've always had that curiosity, what is there, what's out there. And then growing up, I watched things like, Colin Fry on the telly. I always had this wonderful kind of enthusiasm for reading any paranormal things or picking up the psychic magazines or anything like that on the TV. I was there watching it, and I think, oh, that's amazing.
Even the haunting series?
Oh, everything. Yeah. Everything that was on telly, anything that was in the media, that I would be, teenagers my age were picking up Just 17, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
and those magazines, and I'd be looking at the paranormal magazines, you know? I was always the weird kid at school, I never kind of fit in at school at all, didn't fit in with people. So as much as I wouldn't say I was born with a gift, I was certainly felt different to others. Yeah. But as far as making the connection, it came a lot later on, yeah.
So when did it come for you, the connection with spirit?
So I kind of went through a little bit of a rough time in my 20s, sort of mid-20s, after I'd had my children. And I started to see things again, but they felt quite, not intimidating, it was like shadows I would see, out the corner of my eye. And I had an experience where I felt like I was outside of my body, looking at myself. And they were things that I very much kept to myself. I wouldn't kind of discuss those. I put it down to, my life at the time was difficult. So I was kind of convinced myself that I was going a little bit nutty. As you do. I was just working in the shop at the time, and one of the ladies that I was working with said to me that she'd been for a reading. Now, things like that kind of frightened me. I thought, well, even though I know that I've got this pull to it, and even though I know I've got this curiosity about it, I don't think you should be dabbling with it.
Why?
Because I kind of had a fear of, I don't know whether it's superstition. I'd heard things like, oh, if you kind of play with tarot cards, bad things will happen. And so all of that fear was still within me. And this lady said, no, it wasn't like that at all. She said, this lady, she just gave me a really good reading. Why don't you contact her? So I left it for a little bit, and then again, eventually, I thought, do you know what? I'll just do it. Just give it a go. What could, you know, don't knock it till you tried it, kind of thing. And I booked a reading with this lady. Her name was Jean Harris, lovely lady. And I sat with her, and she kind of picked up on this stuff that was going on in my life, and she said to me about a light around me, and I was like, you're a bit crazy, lady. And at the end of the reading, she said to me, you know, I run a circle. Why don't you? Or we run a circle. She ran it with another lady called Sue Hunter. Why don't you come and join our circle? And I was like, oh, this is a bit strange. She's recruiting here. I don't really want to. I did. That's what I thought. And I thought, do you know what? She's I don't really want to get involved with a cult. That's exactly how I felt. I thought, I don't know if they like fires and burn things. So I politely declined, and I said, thank you so much, you know, for your invitation, but I don't think I can do that. I left it a couple of years, and she intrigued me. So I thought, do you know what, I'm going to book another reading with her. And she didn't remember me. I went to see her again, and again had a lovely reading, and she picked up the same kind of thing and said to me, you know, you really should come and sit in our circle. And I thought, she must be recruited. She must say this to everybody. And I said, no, I can't. And at the time, my kids were quite young. Yeah. And I worked days and my other half worked nights. So I said, I'm so sorry, but I can't come and join your circle because, you know, I've got kids, you know, I can't just... And she said to me, and I always remember, she said to me, Spirit are going to change things. You will be sat in my circle. And I was like, yeah, okay. It kind of, you know, spooked me a little bit. And I left. And the day after, Mark, my other half, came home, and he said to me, they've changed my day off from a Wednesday to a Tuesday, which was the group night. Yeah. So I thought, okay, something a little bit kind of weird's going on here. And I thought, do you know what? Just do it. Just go and see what you feel. And I went and sat in her circle, and I sat in her circle for 12 years.
It's a long time. Yeah. So how did the first time go?
Oh, it was like, well, I'll be honest.
What happened?
The one of the reasons I decided to go was, and this is no secret, I've told everybody, is because I thought, do you know what? I'm paying this lady £40 for a reading. There's going to be all these trainee psychics there. I don't mind being a guinea pig. I'll go for that. I had no will or want to work myself, you know. It was more like I wanted to have an understanding, you know. So, and the first time that I sat there, I thought everybody was a bit strange, you know.
Like you.
Yeah, like you. You know, like the meditation, and one lady went into a trance and started speaking through her guides, and I was a bit, whoa, this is a bit much, you know. I remember we did an exercise that involved like bringing your guides closer. Yeah. And I thought, oh, what the hell, I'll just go with it. And relaxed down and found myself almost like in my mind being transported to, like, it was like Technicolor, something that I'd never ever kind of experienced before. And it did unsettle me a little bit. I thought, what am I opening up? What am I, you know, like I'm sat here, I feel like I'm performing witchcraft. That's what I felt. Because I was so uneducated about it. And I think that having those experiences and the way that I felt and my perceptions has added a great deal of value to when I come to teach my circle and workshops, because I know that there are people there that have never sat in a circle before that might just feel just like that. So it's about having the knowledge of knowing that and being able to put them at ease. And you know, we have a great time in the circle. You know, we really you know, we can be very respectful for spirit, and we're there to work, but you know, take a light-hearted approach to it. You know, everybody's got to feel comfortable. So and I believe that going through the anxieties that I had and the decisions to make the choice to go into looking at this more helps those that maybe not feeling so confident about it themselves. Yeah, so that's kind of really how I started. Yeah.
So you were in circle for like 12 years, and then you started to work on platform.
Well, I never heard of a spiritual church. Never, even like all the time. I sat in an independent circle. Yeah. So we used to meet at a community centre. It wasn't in a church.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And Karen was on the committee at the church, and she used to come to the circle. That's how I found out about spiritualist churches. And they had a cancellation, and they asked Karen to step up, and she hadn't done it before. And she was like, I don't want to do this on my own. So she asked Jean Harris and myself if we would go and do it as a 3, which we did. And no, it wasn't hugely busy. I remember there being probably about 20 people there, which actually is quite good, you know, because some churches, you know, you don't even get that. But it was very nerve-wracking, but it was support in numbers, you know.
Yeah.
And we got paid a tenner between us, and you know, for our expenses. And we had £3 each, and we put pounds in the charity box. And to this day, I think Gina's still got it in a little card because it marks the start of her journey, you know, because she then went on to do platforms, and I worked with Jean for a while, and that's how it all kind of like started with the spiritualist churches. You know, I gained a respect for the churches in doing that. Yeah, definitely.
But you know, the more you are on platform, the more you're out there, the more your confidence will grow.
You'd think so.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it doesn't. Every time you're sat there waiting to go up on platform, you can't. Everything runs through. What am I doing here? Because I suffer so badly with nerves. Got to try and channel that feeling into working, you know, and not kind of crumbling, because it's very easy
Tap it out of your system.
Yes, well, yes, I've heard of that. I haven't
EFT,
done that. Yeah. Does it work?
Yes, it does.
I shall have to give that a go. But but once you're out there, once the first link's in, and then you relax, and I like to break the ice a little bit and kind of have a little bit of a, you know, try and make people smile and laugh a little bit.
It's difficult, isn't it?
It is.
Sometimes they're a tough crowd.
It is. Well, I think for me, I've learned over the years, because you have times that with nights that just go amazingly, and nights where it's harder to work for whatever reason, and I'm still asking Spirit that now. I've learned that if you can get your congregation or your audience on side first, it's a lot easier to work. If you can break the ice between you and them, and you can feel them wanting you to do well and to bring those messages through, then it makes a huge difference. Yeah, definitely.
So what does your family think of you doing this?
I think I'm crazy.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do they support you though?
They do. They are wonderful. You know, like my other half, I'm out all the time doing this, so we don't get a lot of quality time together at all. But he's quite happy with that. He's a home body, really. He likes to be at home. He likes it's typical man, likes remote control for the telly, being in charge of that. So actually, I think he's quite sweetly relieved when I'm going off out the door. It's like, yes, peace. He's not a huge believer of it, but I think he's like, whatever keeps her happy, that's fine. He asks me, you know, every time before I go out, he says, good luck, I hope all goes well. When I get in, he'll ask me how did it go, but he doesn't want to know too much.
But it does kind of keep you grounded.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think having the balance, I suppose, you know, it's great. Yeah. I'm blessed that he's like that, really.
And the kids?
The kids, my daughter, she's open.
Yeah.
She sat in my circle for a while. She's 22, so she's got a lot of better other things to do. But she comes to circle when she feels like it. She's the one that will come and watch dems and things and support me, which is great. But the boys, no, they're just, yeah, or whatever, mum. Crazy, but great, because they are all supportive. You know, even though that they're open to it. Liam, my youngest, he's come to a couple of demonstrations, and he's like, wow, I just didn't know that's what you did, or how do you get that? And you surprised me there. But they're all very much like, how did it go? And good luck,
that's
mum.
Really nice.
And they're good. Yeah.
So how do you explain to people, you know, when people ask you, is there life after death? So how do you explain that to them?
It's hard, you know, because like I think people have an expectation that because you're a medium, you have all the answers. And I was saying before that I have more questions than answers. I feel that everybody's perspective of what happens when you cross from this world to the next world is their own kind of way that they see things. I haven't as yet died and remembered it. So I said to you, I'm a realist. I've read lots of books. I've spoken to a lot of people, and I kind of gauge an idea what might happen when you cross over, you know, like being drawn towards a light and loved ones being there and go into this fantastic new world. You know, for me, I've got to see it to believe it. And when I channel spirit, for me, it's about proving that life is continuous rather than seeking answers to what's beyond here. Because, you know, I feel that there's a lot of stuff that, are we supposed to know everything? I don't think we are. You know, I think that there are...
No, what's the point of living then?
Yeah, I think it would devalue life here if we knew what was out there, because you think, do you know what's getting tough? I'll just pop back up there and come back and do it again later. You know, I'll take a break. You know, obviously I have a solid belief in that transition, but how it happens, I don't know.
So how do you see spirit?
So I see spirit, when I'm communicating with spirit, the first thing that I'm aware of is like people around me. You know, and like we've done exercises in circle and stuff where we get somebody to stand up blindfolded and we get somebody else to start to move into their aura and their energy, and you can feel it before they're even kind of like, and how far you've pushed your energy out and how early you recognize that, and you're not seeing that person, you're feeling it. So that's how I know when I'm starting to connect, because I can start to feel that pull coming in. My job is then to kind of like find out who that person is. Why have they contacted? Why are they there? What do they want to bring through? And what's their purpose for kind of coming into...
So do you see them?
I don't see them. No, I don't see... I did when I was kind of like going through those tough times when I saw shadows and things like that. I didn't like that. And I believe that spirit work with you in the way in which you...
feel comfortable.
Yeah. So for me, I think if I was to see something physically, it'd be quite exciting, I'm not going to lie. But if I was on my own, I'd be out the door, you know? I mean, I think that would probably freak me out a little bit.
But you'd see through
but
your third eye.
So I see clairvoyantly, you know, so I see pictures, you know, when I see somebody, and every link's different. Sometimes I don't see them at all. Sometimes I feel them, you know, like I know that they're a big man because I'll start kind of like feeling like I'm puffing out, do you know what I mean? Or I know that I'm a little lady because like I feel like I'm shrinking. It's like a feeling, you can't explain it, you just, but other spirit communicate in different ways. So when I'll get a picture of someone in my mind using the third eye, but when I see that, it's like a physical photograph. And I know then that photograph exists. It's not just that they're showing me themselves. So not only does it bring the proof in their description, but it brings the proof because I start describing the photograph I'm seeing. And that photograph should be in that person's possession somewhere.
Okay. So you also give the evidence of how they died? And
Yeah, you're looking for any pieces of proof to allow your recipient to know beyond reasonable doubt that that's the person you're connecting with.
Yeah.
And again, every spirit connection is different, so their information is different. I'm a believer in that we have to kind of push the movement on a bit, you know. And I was, like I said, for me and my spiritual grounding was from that very first circle, which was amazing for me, and truly grateful for the years that I spent in that circle. It was taught in a very traditionalist kind of way, whereas for me there are more... It's kind of like looking at it in more contemporary... Spirit are moving on.
Yeah, of course they are.
You know? And we've got to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the teachings that, you know, like I, you know, respect wholly, but they are very traditional. And within that, and when you're saying about the evidence that brings through, I remember the first open platforms I did. I went round and did all the open platforms before. This wonderful lady would mark us, and she'd have a checklist. It was like, you know, description, passing, you know, male female relationship, all of this, and she would check all the information as you were working, and then you would get down, and it was like being at school. You'd be given this piece of paper and anything, and I was like, oh darn, I didn't get that. Oh darn, I missed that bit out. And that was good. It was like a military teaching of sorts. But as I've developed, I've realised that there shouldn't actually really be a checklist, because a lot of the proof that you bring through are the pieces that are so personal. You know, if you stand up and say, I've got a gentleman here and he's 5'6" and he's got grey hair, he's quite slim, he's dressed in this and he's dressed in that. For me, And my expectation is that everybody should put their hand up to that.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
we all kind of know a guy in the spirit world.
Exactly.
Okay, but if you kind of like say, I've got a gentleman here, I know he's a father and he showed me that he's worked at a fairground, then that kind of like, you should be there. That's not 5 minutes off of your trying to find out who you've got.
Right.
And that person's already like, oh my God, that's my dad. Do you know what I mean? So it's been open to so many possibilities of the information that may come through, and you're always looking for that extra bit, that extra proof. So that person, I would only want to give a message that I would be willing to receive. And I have no high expectation, you know, and I'm not saying that I always reach that expectation when I'm working, but my intention is that I want to reach for that. We're dealing with people's grief. It's not just about kind of having fun night out, and these messages mean a lot to people. And it's got to be held like really responsibly, respectfully, dignified, making it comfortable. You don't want to be too intense because it's a delicate subject, and it's so controversial out there in the media and the public eye. So if we can surely bring that evidence that people can't question, then surely that's only doing spirit the justice that it deserves.
Yeah, true. I always wonder about this, and I know that in spirit there is no time. Like here we have time, so they can come, you know, they come in and see us, but it's not all the time.
No.
So do they just pop their head around the corner?
Well, it's I think that probably in the spirit world, and again, I don't know, you know, like I've not visited there recently, physically. You know, I'm sure that there is a lot of stuff to do. I'm sure it's not just a case of hanging around waiting for our loved ones to join us. Because,
No.
You know, it would be like waiting at a bus stop, wouldn't it? It's like, whose turn's it next then? They connect with us on a regular basis. For me, in my personal experiences, when I've lost loved ones and friends and family and done readings for people, that their strongest connection with us is when they first pass over, because that's when we're grieving them. That's when we need the comfort of knowing that they're around us. So we become more aware of that song that comes on the radio. We become more aware of the white feathers, the feeling of having them near us. Do you know what I mean? Or a smell. Any way in which they can communicate, they will do. And then as time goes on and we heal a little bit, I feel they kind of draw back a little bit, because they know it's like watching a kid go off to school, innit? You know, it's like you want to be there for them. Like first day, you might get to sit with them for a little while and watch them play, and then you might be able to pop in for an hour. But eventually, you've got to let them get on with it on their own.
Yes.
And I believe that that's one of the ways in which spirit work. That they're always there for us. You know, and in those moments of true need. And I mean true need, not just because we're having a bad day, that they will pull in closer to us. But it's almost like a proud parent watching from afar, and quite evident within readings that I do and demonstrations. Spirit will quite often bring up things that are relevant to the recipient and them that's happened in the last couple of days. Like she's shown me that you've been through photographs of her just over the last week. I should say, I got out the old box, I don't know, like 2 days ago. And I said, well, that's the validation that your mother was there with you, because she knew you were going to have this communication, probably even before you did. So that's how I believe, kind of like in a nutshell. I'm sure it's so more complex. It must be like a whole web of complexities. I believe that what we do and what we're knowledgeable of is like a scratch of the surface. There must be so much more to it, but sort of like in play school terms, I guess. Really, for me, that's how I see it happens.
Yeah. Now, something completely different. What's your take on reincarnation?
Reincarnation. Well, my belief is that we have an opportunity to come back.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that we are a soul incarnated in a human. Is that the right word? Incarnated in a human body.
Yes, in a human body. We're spiritual beings having a human experience.
So the purpose of life, not that you know, like answering life questions. You know, we're here to evolve.
Yes.
You know, and you can only do so much evolving in one lifetime. You can only have so many experiences in one lifetime. So for me, it makes sense that we have to kind of like live this life pathway, and we have to kind of develop ourselves and evolve ourselves. And for me, it's not about, you know, being successful and material wise. It's about, you know, learning the human and soul nature of compassion and empathy. And I think that's the core of it all. If we can be compassionate and empathetic to our fellow brothers and sisters, surely that evolves mankind historically. And I think it'd be a long time before we get there, and it's a process of evolution for each individual soul that will be at different stages of that evolvement. So I do believe in reincarnation.
And don't forget unconditional love.
Absolutely.
Our souls, you've answered that question already. Does our soul evolve? Of course it does. Yes.
Absolutely.
So what are you up to this year? Because the year's only just started.
Well, it's only just started, and in the next couple of weeks I'm at Spirit Quest at Hayling Island, a fabulous weekend. I kind of started my journey there for public demonstrations. I was very much church platform medium, still am, still very proud of that. But it kind of evolved into public demonstrations from Spirit Quest, and kind of demonstrating in front of more people, and building confidence, I suppose, and having the confidence to work on my own in that way, without the guard of working with somebody else. That's brought many opportunities. Now, for me, public demonstrating and church platform demonstrating are the purpose, and the outcome is the same, but it's a very different environment.
Yes.
Like for me, spiritualist churches is lovely, because people that come into a spiritualist church, most of the time they have the belief of the life after death, and they come to turn up and see how good the medium is. Do you know what I mean? It's not like that we're kind of like trying to convert them into a different way of thinking. No. Whereas when you do a public demonstration, it's like that they want this solid proof. You get sceptical. Quite often you get, what she got and what am I doing here? And it requires a different kind of approach. Yep. And when you're kind of like giving your messages, you've got to understand that you might, because you can't get round everybody, you've got to engage with the whole audience. Mm-hmm. So when you're connecting with the soul of the person that you're reading for, the recipient, you've got to have a way of capturing everybody, otherwise they all switch off and think, what am I doing here? So
good practice.
So it's learning different skills and how different ways of working, which is a challenge at times. But great, very rewarding. I love it, absolutely love it.
So you're also going to do the tea room again this year?
I'm doing the tea room again this year. Yes, they put they're holding. I've done the tea room a few times before in the past.
And they were busy, right?
They always sell out. It's great, it's brilliant. And the tea room, they're doing a charity event in February, and it sold out in the morning, and so
That's it, really?
Yeah,
that was quick.
Absolutely. So they put another date in for the end of February. I'm also doing the tea bar. Get those two muddled up, and that's in March. I'm working with Craig Morris there.
He's good. He's supposed to be good, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, he's a great chap. Craig is a really lovely man, and like a genuine soul, really lovely. So I'm really chuffed to be working with him in March. He'll be at Spirit Quest too, so it'd be great to catch up with him there. And then another date for the tea bar in May, which I'm hoping to work with Graham Watson, so that would be great to work with him again.
Yeah, he's great. He's really good
so
as well.
I'm looking forward to that. Pretty much, I think that's, I do lots of, I run the circle every week, church, and
where is it?
And that's at Basingstoke Spiritualist Church in the town. And we've got a big group there. I think last week we had about 32 people.
That's a lot. That's an open circle?
That's my,
Wow.
We're kind of like saying, we need a bigger church for everybody in. So, that's growing and great and exciting. And like I said, it's good to see people there develop and open up to, and see the magic of spirit. It's just great. One-to-one readings I do a lot. Parties I do a lot, so
fun.
So there's a few things in the pipeline, and hopefully, as the year goes on, there'll be other opportunities.
So Fiona, what?
Just chat, and then edit it all nicely, slice and dice it,
just like a casserole. Now Fiona has joined us.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Now, Fiona, you've been going to Susie's Circle.
Yes, I have.
For how many years now?
So I've been going to Susie's development circle at the church for, it's probably just over 4 years now.
Yeah.
I can't actually believe it's that long.
It seems to have gone so quick,
It's,
doesn't it?
it only seems like
a
yesterday
whirlwind,
that I
yeah.
started on this journey
Yeah.
of just almost like a new dimension opening up. It just opened my eyes, and I seriously can't believe it
Why
was
did
4
you
years
go?
ago. Because I was always very aware of energy when I was younger, okay, when I was a child. And, you know, it's like when you go through teenage years, you're busy doing other stuff.
Yes.
And then I was really busy at work, and, you know, I had a career and I was quite professional, and I spent long hours commuting and working, and just things were just at the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And then when I had children, it's almost like this energy just congregated around us all.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was just constantly prodding me, you know, that there was stuff going on and that there was something else that I should be thinking of. And also that there's something that was missing probably in my life, really. I know it sounds really
It
silly.
feels like a hole, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah, I just felt kind of unfulfilled.
Yeah.
So it just started off, you know, having conversations with friends about, you know, oh, can you feel anything? You know, they'd come around for a cup of tea and say, oh, can you feel anything? Or, you know, oh, look, white feathers keep coming my way. Our home's very active. You know, we'd have lots of things happening here, of people tucking us into bed, the rocking horse moving, footsteps up and down the stairs, and it was just gaining momentum. And I thought, okay, this is a sign that I need to take a step further and look more deeply at this. And I went and saw Susie at the tea. I think it was a tea room one night, actually.
I think it was a tea room.
And it was just like my mind opened up. There was just this clarity about, this is what it's all been about.
Right.
You know, and it just felt very normal, very natural to be having conversations with people about what I was experiencing, and, you know, feeling that I wasn't a weird one for picking up on these things.
That's right, you do, don't you? You feel like an alien.
Because you start to question yourself, did I imagine that?
Yeah,
Or did that really
totally.
happen? And so, you know, to sit in a room with other people who had similar interest, to have a chat with Susie, and I think it was Spencer you were with that night, actually, and you know, nobody laughed at me, and it was just a natural.
That's the fear, isn't it? It's a fear of people thinking you're crackers and a little bit loopy.
Yeah, a little bit loopy, maybe too many G&Ts or something, you know. And then I think, you know, that just opened up a conversation about, well, come to Circle. And I started going to Circle. And I'll be honest with you, it's really because I wanted a night out of the house, away from the kids, you know. And I just wanted a bit of peace and quiet. And
you time.
Yeah, and I really liked the meditation, because we would do a meditation at the beginning, and I just really got into that. I just found that, you know, for me, dealing with a busy life and a busy family, that meditation, I found it really beneficial, and it really helped me just to calm down and relax back. Yeah, totally.
And it sort of sets you up for the week, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, you know, and I spend a lot of time out walking dogs and out in the fields traipsing about, and that's how I get grounded. You can't always do that in the middle of winter at 9 o'clock at night, you know, you need to find another way of coping with things. So, and that's what I primarily liked about the group. And, you know, I wasn't really looking at developing any psychic or mediumship abilities. But then it kind of gathered momentum again. And Susie would always say, oh, yes, Fiona, you know, you can do it. You've got stuff. And I'd be like, nah, I'm just making this up. I'm just imagining it. You know, it's just me overthinking things. And then things started clicking together. Slowly but surely, things started fitting together, I think, yeah. And it's probably over the past 6 to 9 months, really, where
things have kind of like sped up, hasn't it?
Things have sped up, and I've got more confidence, more trust. Yeah. Okay, I'm trusting
trust
more.
Is a big thing, isn't it?
What I'm feeling, getting. You know, sometimes I hear things, smell things, see things, just know things, and I think, where did that come from?
Yeah.
How do I know that? And I'm just trusting. Okay. And it's quite difficult. I'm a very literal person. I will say what I see. Yeah. And then, yes. And, you know, I kind of like a movie going through your mind. You say what you see, and these kind of little nuggets come out. And we've spent a lot of time talking about this in Circle, about how different people get things differently, and how no reading is ever the same. It's lovely. We get a lot of reassurance from Susie and from the other members of the Circle.
I have realised, there's one thing that I have realised when you work with spirit. If you focus too much, if you concentrate too much, it's not coming. You have to be. Yeah. You have to stop trying so hard and just let go.
Absolutely.
And then it'll come.
Yes. Absolutely. And that was something that you said to me probably after about a year, is just don't try too hard. Stop getting frustrated about it. Just relax down. You know, we all talk about aiming higher.
Yes.
But relaxing down is just as important, really. And I found that really worked for me, just to relax down.
Yeah.
And also to ask spirit. I wouldn't have a conversation. I'd just be saying what I see, literally. Oh, I see this.
Wait
I
for
see
the
that.
next thing to drop
And
in. What's there then?
and it's like Susie would say, well, go back and ask them. Why are you giving that? You know, have a conversation with them. And I was like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I? You know, but I didn't even think.
It's like a light bulb moment, isn't it?
Yes.
You think, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, how rude have I been not having a conversation?
Expecting them to do all the work.
Yeah. So and that technique's really helped, I think.
Yeah. We explore a lot of techniques at the circle.
We do.
Because you know when you're running a circle, it's so important to recognise that everybody gets things and works differently.
Yes.
I always say, like, as a teacher, I'm not teaching you how to be a medium. I can't do that.
No.
I can only share my experience and help encourage yours, and hopefully that will get the ball rolling for your journey.
Yeah.
And be there to support them through that. Yeah.
You also give one-to-one readings, right? Now.
Yes, I've just started doing one-to-one readings. I started off doing victims, as I call them.
Pulling in anybody they can.
Anybody want a little go? And I've started using tarot cards, and I went on a tarot card workshop that Susie ran, and that helped. And it kind of started off as being a bit of a prop for me, really. It's always easy to talk about something when you've got something in front of you.
And sometimes people like to see something, you know, they like to have a focus that's not kind of like on you, you know, so it can kind of relax people a little bit more.
Absolutely. And I do find it always tells a story.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
You know, so I've started doing one-to-one readings. So I do tarot cards, and then obviously bring in links and guidance from loved ones. So yes, just starting it. Yeah.
So I'm guessing you're going to continue going to Susie's circle.
Yeah, I'll always go to circle. I love it. I do.
It's great, isn't it?
I do.
We've got such a great bunch of people, haven't we?
We do, and you know, some people come every week. Some people you might not see for 6 months, and when they come back round,
and that's the beauty of it, you know, because an open circle is so kind of you're there to go at their pace, you know, whereas a closed circle is very much more the commitment has to be there. Obviously, I've got to turn up every week, but you know that some people, life is busy, you know, for everyone, and not everybody can find that commitment. So to have somewhere where they know that if they haven't been for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, that they're not going to be forgotten about. And we have a group page, don't we, where we kind of like chat to each other and support each other, and it's about working as a circle. It's about working as a team. What I'm most proud of with the circle that I have is the way in which they all connect with each other. Makes my job easier. I can sit back.
There are no egos in our group. It's really unusual.
Yeah.
Really unusual, but
Which is the way it should be.
yeah,
That's the way it should be.
honestly say that there are no egos, and that everyone is mutually supportive of each other, and everyone appreciates that they're all on their own individual journey as well. You know, that there's no competition about who's giving the best messages or who's got the best evidence. That doesn't even come into it. It's so different to what you get in everyday life, you know, whether it's at work or kids at school. It's quite comforting, actually.
Thank you. So do you have any last words of advice for people?
Yes, I think if somebody has a draw to this but are not sure about it, or are not confident with thinking that they have an ability, is to absolutely go and seek some guidance, whether it be in a circle or mentorships or a lot of workshops out there these days, because you know, I know what the fear is, kind of like stepping into it and thinking that it's only for certain people who are gifted. It's not. You know, if you have an interest and a pull to it, then that probably means that you've got a certain type of ability to open up. I do believe that everybody has like different levels of that. You know, we could go and have a piano lesson today and you could pick it up really quickly and I might have to work really hard at it. I'm not a natural medium. I have to work so hard and dedicate so much time to it to try and get the clarity that I would expect from it, where other people just take to it like a duck to water. But it doesn't mean to say that if you don't find it as natural as maybe what somebody else does, doesn't mean to say that you can't reach those
You can.
There's achievement. You know, my son's dyslexic and struggles with his reading and writing, and he had to work really hard to get to uni, and I'm so proud that he's there.
Yeah.
But he had to work extra hard. But actually, he will achieve the same thing as everybody else.
Yes.
And I believe in some respects, if you have to work harder, it can be more rewarding. You know,
It is, isn't it? Yes,
definitely.
yes.
So I would definitely encourage anybody that's got that interest or got that want to do it but not the confidence, to just kind of push themselves a little bit and go and see what might happen.
Exactly.
They might surprise themselves. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.